Oh, but this one, I'm just going to call this one called the River of Light. Is what I would describe it as. It's an interesting one. I think I've not seen anything really like it too much. I want to address something as well, very quick. This T-shirt, I've done so many videos today. It's not that this is the only T-shirt I own. I just realised I've probably done about 5 or 6 videos today. I'm just trying to get on top of a lot of the different videos I want to do. So this isn't the only T-shirt I own. Anyway, so this dream, yeah. So as I said, I've named it River of Light. Okay, it takes a little while to get into that bit. I'm just going to mention the lead up to it. Now, I don't really know how relevant this is, to be honest. But I'll mention it just because it does come up in other dreams, and I don't know why this has come up. It's been at least this is at least the second time. It might even be the third time. Um, there's a British a program. It's a series, a soap, whatever you want to call it, called Emmerdale. I kind of watched it. It was more my mum that watched it, to be honest. And then I think in the early days with my wife, she used to watch it. I haven't watched sort of that kind of TV for 15 years, probably about 15 years. Not someone I think about at all, ever, 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 ever. But I had a dream, and this is the second dream. I haven't recorded the first time, or maybe even another time that it's come up. But for some reason, it was all set around Emmerdale again. So this series, it's a British series that's been going on for decades, 30, 40, I don't know, maybe even 50 years. I don't know. It's been going on for a very, very long time. It's all set in the sort of Yorkshire countryside. Actually, because of another one, I found out that it was quite close to Leeds. Because of there's another dream that where it's relevant to do with some sort of disaster. So I don't know why Emmerdale is coming up. But anyway, this dream, I'm going to try and get through this part really quickly because there's not really too much to it. But it was all about one of the characters in it, where she's actually a character called Megan Sharma, who's called Gaynor Faye in real life. Again, not really relevant to be honest, but yeah, she's just an actress in it. That she's basically in this dream. She's had a bit of a marriage breakdown with a partner. There's some sort of solicitor, some sort of mediation going on. Ex-partner's not there, but there's some legal documentation or something like that. There's some sort of rubber stamp or date stamp going on, or something, some paperwork, and she's just in the pub. And it's a pub that she's actually she owns, and that she's running this pub. But it's something to do with her ex-partner, something to do with children. Might be to do with who looks after the children, something like that's going on anyway. But I'm in this pub. It's a kind of local pub where everybody is there, so a bar that everybody goes to have a drink and some food and stuff like that. And it's this pub's just kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's like even in the program, it's a little village where there's loads of farms around it. There's tons and tons of drama always going on. Obviously, it wouldn't be a series that's been going on for like 30, 40 years unless it had a bit going on. So this was all some drama around the ex-partner who was in the pub at the time. He was really drunk, really drunk, and he kept on staring at me and had some sort of major problem with me. I was just kind of clearing up glasses and just generally helping out, but I think he really wanted her back, and I was kind of in the way. But I was like, I'm just a friend, I've got no plans to have some sort of romantic relationship with her or anything like that. But this, I think, was kind of the impression that he got, and the fact that he was drunk obviously didn't help. But he was like super cocky, arrogant sort of person in this in this scenario. Um, I went out and I was just clearing up glasses. They had kind of like picnic tables and stuff like that all outside in the kind of just outside the pub. It wasn't like I wouldn't call it a beer garden, which is what we would normally say, like an outside drinking area. It wasn't really a beer garden as such because it wasn't like walled off or anything. It was just outside the pub. You've got like cars parked up and stuff, just a patch of grass around it, a few different picnic tables, people having a drink there and having something to eat outside. So I'm just going around, I'm just picking up bits and pieces, just trying to help out. and there's this really weird, leery kind of bloke who's just kind of staring at me, but in a kind of like really pervy way, which is really, really strange because obviously I'm a guy and not a gay guy, and he was really, yeah, as I said, it was kind of where you can feel someone's eyes burning the back of you, you know. Yeah, it's just a creepy, creepy, creepy vibe I got from this guy, and I went in and I was just basically like just talking, just to kind of fill any kind of gaps, you know, as I'm just picking up and trying to be invisible, really, to people. They're all having their conversations. I'm just collecting glasses and plates and stuff, and just trying to get back. As far as I know, I don't even know if I was working there. I imagine I must have been working there to be doing all these bits and pieces, unless I was like a really close friend of hers and I was just helping out. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I went off and I just started doing some cooking up food and bits and pieces for people, and just generally trying to help out, just doing easy food. It was just a quick thing just to feed the staff, just so they could just carry on. And then it just randomly, super randomly, went into how they travel. Like it just randomly said about how they travel, and I was shown this. All I would, as I said, I've said it's like a river of light. It was like a highway of light. It was really strange. We were kind of standing in the darkness, and just standing. I guess wherever we were outside the pub somewhere, and there was a few of us all just sort of standing, just talking around us, and there was just this big kind of. It started obviously at ground level, but then it kind of went off into the sky, and it was about as wide as maybe one or two lanes. It's probably more like one lane really, of like of a road. And it was just flowing. It was light, but it looked like a flowing river. If I could, that's how I would describe it. And there was people who would just walk onto it, and it was almost like you were walking onto like an airport, what they call like the kind of like the escalator things where you stand on them. They're completely horizontal, a bit like a treadmill, and you stand on them and then just go whizzing off. But that kind of brief moment of you step onto it, and then it takes a minute for you to get yourself used to the fact that you're now going like 3 times the speed that you were just walking at when you landed on it. A bit like that moment when you get onto an escalator and it feels a bit weird, and you kind of it was like that. So as soon as you were on and you were fully sort of planted on, you were just absolutely blasting along so fast. If you looked to the side, you couldn't pick up anything. You couldn't see anything. It was kind of darkness to the sides. But when you're looking in front of you, you can see everything. So I suppose it's a bit like being on a train. Obviously in the carriage, people are just wandering around a little bit, or just sitting in their seats. But then to the side, you're seeing the background just whizzing past. It was kind of like that, going really, really quick. But we all had to be quite careful to not step off the edge. If we stepped off the edge of this light, then we would just be thrown out at this absolutely phenomenal speed, and we would be wherever we would be. But it was very much like a point to point travel that we were going on, and that's sort of pretty much all the dream was about. Actually, was that bit. So as I said, the Emmerdale bit was just went on for quite a while about stuff, but it was mainly about this travel. And the person I was speaking to, I was sort of saying, well, what is this? What is this thing? And they were sort of saying, oh, it's this new really futuristic way of traveling that we're all going to be doing. This kind of traveling soon. I was like, okay. I mean, this is. It wasn't set in the future, it was set in modern days. I was like, this is completely unlike everything. This is sort of river of light that was just taking you to your destination. And then I kind of thought on, when I got out of the dream, I was kind of thinking of things I'd seen. So back before I was Christian, I was seeing about travel and stuff like that. And I remember them talking about, I think it was Elon, it might have even been Elon Musk talking about it, where he was talking about how, in the future, yeah, we're just going to get robots, we're going to send them out in spaceships way ahead, we're just going to send them off all over the place, to maybe prepare the world for us, or whatever it is, wherever we're going to. And then we're ready, when we're ready, it's okay to be colonized, we will just we'll download our consciousnesses into a computer, load it up on a laser beam, point the laser beam at your robot, that's on this faraway planet or some sort of bigger collection area, and then it will, like a satellite dish sort of thing, it will kind of like filter off to you, and essentially your consciousness will be implanted into some sort of humanoid robot that's on another planet, because clearly we can't escape our biology, and the fact that obviously everything that's close to us we could never ever, even at the speed of light, actually get to in our own lifetime. So the only way to really escape this will be to download our consciousness, and then fire off on a laser beam, and then we could then be in a far off planet and start up our lives there. And it's essentially also another way of escaping mortality, because then you could, if you're just consciousness and you're digitized, well, then you don't have any constraints of biology, so then you can just live forever. And that's what kind of was in my mind. I was thinking about that, and I thought, maybe it's talking about that kind of thing. And then it wasn't until afterwards, and then it was roughly about an hour or 2 hours after I had the dream. Oh, actually, no, sorry, about 1 to 2 hours after I sent my mum the dream, that I was watching a video, which was a guy who'd written a book. Again, it's a Christian video. He'd written a book about stuff, and he was talking about getting in. He was talking about our spirit, as in our spirit within our body, and then he was talking about the interaction with the Holy Spirit as well. So what he was actually talking about, and this happened about one to maybe 2 hours after I had sent the message about my dream to my mum, is this video came up. I'd already started watching it, but not really watched much of it. And then what he said, which was really, really interesting, was he said that, he was saying, if you kind of give up your own will to the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit actually takes the lead in your life, then you sort of get, pulled into a slipstream. And as soon as I heard the word slipstream, it was kind of like my ears pricked up. It's happened quite a lot with certain things where it's suddenly triggered. That connects to the dream. And slipstream, as I said, I was describing it as like a river, like a highway of light, because I was thinking highway because it's about the width of a road, and I actually saw vehicles going out as well. It wasn't just humans. But he talked about this slipstream, and he said, which means that you have, when the Holy Spirit is taking the lead, you essentially have a representative beyond the veil that is directing your life towards more spiritual aspects, rather than the carnal man that obviously has different thoughts, different ways of looking at things. And when he said obviously being pulled into the slipstream, I instantly knew this kind of connection to this utterly random sort of aspect of my dream, and that actually the word slipstream was a perfect way of actually describing what I saw. I ended up actually commenting on the video and saying, "Oh yeah, I've literally seen what you're talking about." And obviously I want the Holy Spirit to take the lead for sure in my life, and that's what this was. It was like a rushing water that when you stepped into it, the current just took you off. That's exactly what it felt like. So I'm sure it's got, could well have different meanings, but it was just completely random. And also the light of it. Again, I've had other dreams where you're completely blinded by light, where it's just so. I mean, it's generally I've had nuke dreams, but I've also had God's glory dreams, where you're blinded by the glory. It's so extreme that you can't see anything. It's just bright. Everywhere you look, it's just bright white light. You can't see anything but white light. And I've had nuke ones, as I said, as well. But this was a kind of a light that was bright, but you could still look at it. But that was just a quick dream. So I just wanted to comment on that one. As I said, sorry for adding in the kind of bit around Emmerdale. As I said, I'm only putting it in there because it was part of the dream. It was all one dream. And as I said, I've had Emmerdale in there before, which was to do with, it was almost like it was defining a location for me, and that was to do with President Trump. Actually, it was a really, really weird one to do with Trump and some sort of threat to the US, some sort of nuclear threat. And I felt like maybe there there was some sort of an interaction between him and the UK Prime Minister, and where they would normally go, because there was a threat to both nations. I think there was a threat to the UK, and I think there was a threat to the US. That they relocated where this meeting was going to happen, and I saw loads of roads being closed down. But the random element of that dream was, as these roads are being closed down, they said, let those guys go past. They're photographers on the film set of Emmerdale. And I was like, random, completely random. What's that all about? That was I think that was the first dream. And I thought, why? What are you talking about with that? It was just so bizarre. And as I said, now I've just got some other random thing to do with Emmerdale. Very, very, very strange. Don't understand why. But there it is. There it is. This dream was 6th of February 2025. So this is actually quite a bit more recent, actually, because I've been doing 2023, I've been 2024. I've just been doing anything that I found kind of interesting, a little bit interesting, that I thought I'd put in there. But as I said, got lots of different dreams that I'm kind of picking up, as I go. Again, hopefully you found it a little bit interesting, and there will be many, many more. See you soon.